As you may already know, my name's Clare Baker and I'm a former clutterholic and borderline hoarder. I successfully cleared all my clutter over 20 years ago without the need for an expensive home visit. And I've been helping people around the world do exactly the same ever since, so that they too can know what it's like to live a completely clutter-free life forever. With over 20 years of experience of working with clutterholics and hoarders, I know that there are some tough truths that we have to accept if we want to successfully clear our clutter. So today, I want to share with you the tough truth about time that breaking old habits and making new habits is going to take time. But you have to do that if you want to clear your clutter forever. To clear your clutter forever, so you never again have to spend time going through backlog clutter, you must break old automatic bad habits that you have and make new automatic good habits. Only then will you be able to control and maintain a clutter-free home with minimum time and effort. Now, if you know anyone who has a clutter-free home and you ask them how they do it, they'll probably tell you they don't know, or it just comes naturally to them. They just know what to do, or they don't really do anything and they don't know what all the fuss is about. Come to think of it, that's what a lot of the experts that you see on the TV programs say. What they're actually telling us when they say these things is that they have automatic habits that they don't even realize they have that enable them to maintain a clutter-free home. For example, if you're a driver and you've been driving for years or decades, you probably don't consciously think about how to drive. You just get in the car and drive. It's an automatic habit. When you leave your home, do you consciously lock your front door? It's probably an automatic habit. Perhaps like me, you've had that experience where later in the day you actually wonder if you did lock the front door. And only when you consciously think about it do you start to question yourself. Naturally, clutter-free people just have automatic habits that mean, for example, they put things back where they belong in their home. They make decisions quickly about whether or not they need or will use something in the near future and let it go if they're not going to use it. By comparison, we have automatic habits of putting things where there's space because we don't have a clearly defined home for things in our home, and we tend to make decisions on impulse. You will never successfully clear your clutter and stay clutter-free forever by having a blitz, because not only do you have to be aware of what automatic bad clutter accumulating habits you have, you also have to consciously do the opposite thing to break that bad habit and create a new clutter controlling habit that all these other people have got. And that takes time. Furthermore, you have to consciously not do your automatic bad habit between 66 and 254 times to break it. Now, the bad news is that the older you get, the more times you have to repeat it. So the closer to the 254 end of that scale you get. Now, the good news is people over the age of 55 who decide they want to break old habits and make new good habits are actually more successful at achieving that, probably because they're selective about what habits they try to break and make. So they know what's going to help or hinder them in their lives, and therefore which habits are going to be worth their limited time, energy and effort and frustration to break and make. Now, there are 7 key habits that we need to break and make if we want to become completely clutter-free forever. First, our giving up habit. Our giving up trying to clear the clutter habit. Instead, you need to make a habit of getting the regular support you need to get through the bad days and the tough weeks that we all have when we're on our clutter clearing journey, and when left to our own devices will cause us to give up. Second, shopping without a list, which means we impulse buy extras or what we think we need rather than what we actually need and use. Instead, you need to make a habit of doing a weekly meal plan, creating a shopping list around what is on that meal plan, and only buying what's on that list, not those impulse buys that end up in the shopping cart. Third, Keeping paper versions of information just in case for reference. Instead, you need to make a habit of thinking about when you're likely to need it. And if you really do need to keep that information, scanning or photographing it instead, so that you don't need to keep the paper copy. Fourth, impulse buying things because of how they make you feel rather than because you need them and will use them quickly. Instead, you need to make a habit of not watching the TV shopping channels, unsubscribing from sales emails, doing the weekly shopping challenge and meal plan. Fifth, putting things down where there's space. Instead, you need to make a habit of thinking about whether you will actually use things. And if not, let them go. Sixth, wanting to buy or receive physical things as gifts. Instead, you need to make a habit of asking for experiences and people's time as gifts instead of physical things that you don't need. And finally, seventh, only checking your bank account for how much is in there now. So what's showing from the past. Instead, you need to make a habit of doing a weekly paperwork clutter clearing session so that you can plan for the future and do your cash planning. If you're ready to accept this tough truth about time, that breaking old habits and making new habits takes time, then click on the link with this video and let's get started on your 7-step journey to your clutter-free life.